The scent of chlorine hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the simmering tension beneath the surface. It was the annual Sterling family reunion, held at the sprawling lakeside estate of my in-laws. This year, however, felt different. It was different because I, Thomas, the quiet, ever-agreeable son-in-law, had a ticking time bomb tucked into my briefcase. A time bomb named Sarah, my wife, and her web of deceit. For 10 years, Sarah and I had built a life together, brick by painstaking brick. A cozy home, 2 wonderful children, a seemingly unbreakable bond. Or so I thought, always. It was a month ago that I stumbled upon the first thread unraveling the carefully constructed tapestry of our marriage. A misplaced hotel receipt, a text message filled with coded affection, a late-night phone call masked by hushed tones. The pieces, like jagged shards of glass, had slowly revealed the chilling truth. Sarah was having an affair. Initially, my world crumbled. The woman I had pledged my life to, the mother of my children, the very core of my existence, had betrayed me in the most profound way. I vacillated between blind rage and soul-crushing despair. But amidst the chaos, a cold, hard resolve began to form. This wouldn't be some messy, drawn-out divorce with screaming matches and bitter accusations. No, Sarah's deception deserved a more theatrical unveiling, a reckoning in the presence of the very people who held her in such high esteem. Hence, the Sterling family reunion. I had spent the last few weeks meticulously documenting Sarah's betrayal. I collected voicemails, tracked phone locations, downloaded deleted texts, even hired a private investigator to fill in the gaps of her increasingly elaborate lies. The evidence was undeniable, a damning indictment of her perfidy. I watched Sarah from across the lawn, her laughter ringing hollow in my ears. She was surrounded by her family, basking in the adoration, oblivious to the storm gathering on the horizon. She caught my gaze, a small smile flickering on her lips. I managed a weak nod, a mask of normalcy plastered on my face. The charade was almost over. As the afternoon wore on, the family gathered for the traditional State of the Union speech, a yearly update on everyone's lives given by the patriarch, Sarah's father, Mr. Sterling. It was a tedious affair filled with mundane announcements about promotions, vacation plans, and the like. I had always found it boring, but this year, I anticipated it with a morbid eagerness. Finally, Mr. Sterling concluded his address. And now, he announced with a jovial tone, "Is there anything else anyone would like to share?" It was my cue. I rose slowly, every eye in the sprawling yard now fixed on me. The air crackled with a strange energy, the casual chatter dying down to an expectant silence. Sarah's face registered a flicker of confusion, then a hint of concern. "Yes, Mr. Sterling," I said, my voice calm and steady, though my heart was hammering against my ribs. "There is something I'd like to share. It's about Sarah." A ripple of unease spread through the crowd. Sarah's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and panic replacing the earlier confusion. She tried to interrupt, her voice strained. "Thomas, what are you?" I raised a hand to silence her. "No, Sarah. It's time." I took a deep breath, savoring the moment. "I brought some evidence today." I placed my briefcase on the picnic table with a resounding thud, unlocking it with a sharp click that echoed in the hushed atmosphere. From it, I pulled out a carefully organized folder containing copies of phone logs, hotel receipts, text messages, and photographs of Sarah with another man. The silence in the yard was deafening. I methodically placed each document on the table, allowing everyone to examine the damning proof. The buzz of conversation morphed into gasps of shock and horror. Sarah's mother's hand flew to her mouth, her father's face contorted with a mixture of disbelief and anger. Her siblings exchanged glances, their expressions morphing from amusement to disgust. Sarah stood frozen, her face drained of color, her eyes wide with terror. The carefully constructed facade of the perfect daughter, the devoted wife, had crumbled before her very eyes. The laughter from moments before was replaced with a deafening silence, punctuated only by the rustle of papers, as Sarah's family examined the grim evidence. I didn't need to elaborate. The documents spoke for themselves. A picture of Sarah and a man kissing in a restaurant. Another of them entering a hotel hand in hand. A series of text messages, filled with lies about late nights at work, and declarations of love for another man. It was a stark and undeniable portrayal of her betrayal, meticulously documented and ruthlessly exposed. Mr. Sterling, his face now a mask of fury, was the first to speak. "Sarah, His voice was low and menacing. "Is this true?" Sarah, her voice barely a whisper, managed to utter a feeble "I," but she couldn't find the words to defend herself. The truth was laid bare, impossible to deny. Her mother began to sob, tears streaming down her face. One of her sisters hurled accusations, her voice trembling with indignation. Even her youngest brother, usually so quiet and reserved, looked at her with open disappointment. The gathering that had begun with such joyful anticipation had devolved into a family tragedy. And it was all thanks to Sarah. It was a meticulously constructed downfall, and I watched it unfold with a cold satisfaction. I wasn't celebrating her pain, but rather the vindication of my own. I stepped back, allowing Sarah to face the full weight of her actions. I didn't want to see her fall, but I knew, in my bones, that she had to. The Sterling family, so united in their love and loyalty, now turned their collective gaze onto Sarah, their expressions ranging from disbelief to abject disgust. It was a moment of reckoning, not only for Sarah, but for the entire family. I collected my briefcase, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. My work was done. I had exposed the truth, laid bare the lie, and reclaimed my own dignity. The satisfaction was profound, but it was tinged with a profound sense of sadness. The marriage I had believed in, the family I had loved, was now irrevocably shattered. As I walked towards my car, leaving Sarah to face the music, I could hear the murmur of voices behind me. They weren't speaking to me, but I knew they were talking about her betrayal, about the woman they thought they knew. I didn't look back. It was time to move forward, to start rebuilding my life, to heal the wounds she had so carelessly inflicted. The drive home was long and quiet. My children were at my sister's for the weekend, blissfully unaware of the seismic shift that had occurred in their family. The thought of them filled me with a renewed sense of purpose. I had to be strong for them. I had to create a safe and loving environment for them to grow, far removed from the poisonous web of lies and deceit Sarah had spun. The road ahead was unknown, but for the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of peace. I had faced the monster, and I had survived. The revenge, though bitter, was ultimately a step towards healing. It was the end of one chapter, and the beginning of another. And for the first time, I felt like I was in control of my own story.